Okay. Is it better now? That isn't the first time it's ever happened to me. Ridiculous. Well, at least we're back now. Okay, and I can go through this. Okay. I'll wait like a minute. I'll give it a minute. I have a feeling no one is going to come back. Like, we had quite a few people in that stream then. I think it's... I think there's only a certain amount of streams. I think it's like 3 streams over here, or like 2 streams. You can only do a certain amount of streams before it just completely breaks. So yeah, I guess we'll wait. I'll keep drawing. I'll keep going. I guess while I wait. So basically, what I was saying was, before I was really interrupted, was. Back, perfect. Okay. So, before I was really interrupted by awful software. Never happened to me before. Whatever. No idea. It could happen again. No idea. Was the move? Okay. It was this. Right. So let's just take a step back. Okay. Let's redo. Have a breather. Okay. So, what I was talking about was this move up, and then the resultant of us. Okay, talking about, because KB messaged, obviously you're talking about change of flow, and I was like, yes, agreeing with you. Going to the 4 hour to look at how we were doing in terms of, okay, we had the uptrend, brilliant. Okay, obviously printed through low, not brilliant, bad. Okay, so clearly the highest high of this, so it was like, okay, so high, obviously low, and this is the high, and obviously we move through this low in this movement here. So cool, okay, brilliant. We've established that now. So that's the high. We didn't manage to do a new high, but what we managed to do, which is so great for us for Bitcoin, is we managed to do an infinite amount of equal highs from what it seems here. So brilliant, amazing. We now have a potentially sensitive area or about 110, basically coming right up to about 110 and a half. In terms of the lows, again, obviously downtrend, it's more about you, as long as you don't do a new high. And to be fair, in terms of this, it's like, okay, cool. This, until you see, like in this whole move, it's like, okay, cool. Like we did this low, and then we moved up again, and then we did a new low. So technically this is a surpass of this, and we haven't done anything here. But it's also like, okay, this wasn't the extreme low. Like this is now the extreme low until we saw a move back upwards. So it's like, it depends how you look at it. It depends if we go to the daily, we might see differently. And obviously with the daily, you do see differently. We have obviously the high here, which we never printed above. We have that this normal move down, massive print up, and now we're kind of in the middle phase here. So we obviously, as per related to what our move has been, we've definitely slowed down. But obviously, technically, within this move, we do have this extreme low down here. So technically, we haven't really done that badly. Obviously, technically, if this is technically the low, or if this is the high and that's the low, in terms of the very extremes, we are still in this phase of, okay, we should probably be aiming for the lows next. So I do still think we're in this trend downwards. So going back to the weekly, in the trend downwards, we've taken those high, or this high basically, with this last week on the January time. We've had multiple of these highs being printed on the lower time frame equally, so obviously a very sensitive area, but we should be aiming for the downwards movement, which again, looking at what we've had on within the lower time frame movement, we have had that actual official print below, and we've done a lower high probably looking like we're aiming for a new lower low now. So again, we're in that process, so we just need to keep on doing it. And if all things being equal, nothing changes, and we continue doing our move downwards, I definitely could see aiming for some of these lows. But again, this is on the weekly, this will take some time to do, whatever. Unless we have a massive candle downwards. I mean, again, I'm not saying we can't do this very quickly, but, you know, I can definitely 100% see where people are coming from in terms of this move down to this kind of equilibrium area. But I don't want to. I've spent a bunch of time obviously redoing the stream, and obviously we talk about Bitcoin and whatnot. So I do want to move on because, you know, I've got about in terms of hitting to 6 p.m. 20 minutes. Obviously, I've got about. I added a tiny bit more for the timer, so I do probably should move on to some new coins. So again, we're starting to because with Bitcoin, I did look at a tiny bit before the stream, but when we start to move on to Ethereum now, I looked at a tiny bit, but I haven't looked really at Ethereum pretty much in the slightest. But I'm trying to establish what our move is. We have so on the weekly here, because yeah, I chose the weekly. I'm kind of just mainly looking at this move again. Obviously, coming below these lows, coming down, moving upwards now. So clearly we had a bit of a move upwards. Obviously we then printed through all this with our low. We then printed for this high, and now we've come to a low again. So we've kind of done this kind of breaker block on the weekly. So it's like the high, low, higher, high, lower, low. So I believe it's this movement. Obviously, I think if we went to like a higher time frame, maybe like towards the monthly, we'll probably see a bigger candle for this move. You know what? Let me check. I actually don't know if we would see this. We might be able to. Okay, here we go. So we can't really see it, to be fair, unless we consider it high, low, like that. So it would be this move. So in the midpoint of this, it would be about 3,000. But again, this is monthly stuff. Like this is like, you know, this is like massive stuff. But obviously we are coming back into it. But regardless, this is the monthly. I'm not looking at this right now. That doesn't matter. Okay, all I know right now is we've had this low and we're coming back upwards. So in terms of this move, okay, this main move from the extreme high to extreme low, we are obviously coming back up into this area. I have looked at this area of interest, but again, this is very high stuff right now. And considering what we have, if we can't pay attention to Bitcoin and things like that, we do need to pay attention to the fact that, you know, there is massive negativity, just in general, obviously politically or whatever, which could continue to happen. Again, I've already talked about this on Bitcoin in terms of it slowing down the effect on the market. In terms of, okay, yeah, the start of something like this it has a massive effect. The end has a massive effect, but as you start to continuously do it, think about all the other conflicts we've had. Yeah, the start is great. Oh, it's not good, but in terms of the effect, it has a great effect, like greater effect than, you know, during the period. Think about, you know, previous conflicts. Unless something big happens, or not saying, yeah, whatever. Unless something like critical evolves from the conflict, it doesn't have the same oomph it has at the very start. So, for example, this one, you know, it's not maybe not comparable as some other conflicts. Again, the start of it has had a massive effect in terms of coming into this period of just it resolving itself or continuously just occurring. There hasn't really been that big. Again, obviously there's been announcements of certain things being targeted and all this sort of stuff, but realistically nothing major's happened which has had that much of a great effect on the market, or a massive effect. I'm not saying it hasn't, you know, change the spin of the market or whatever, but in terms of the midpoint of a conflict, we haven't hit the end yet. So I don't think we've had that. I don't think we'll have as much of a greater impact unless we have a resolution. But again, I've already talked about during Bitcoin, so, you know, applying this to what we have here. Again, downtrend, moving upwards, really just a lot of highs, or a lot of wicks here. Again, we've come to the equilibrium here. My aim would be a slight bit of a push up towards this area here, maybe towards about 2,900, 3,000. That could definitely be a massive area. But again, we've had a massive recovery, considering, you know, last time we've kind of looked at this, a considerably large recovery. And again, we also do have to look at the fact that these equilibriums and highs and lows, they can also be attributed from these periods, okay? So these periods of moves upwards, but you normally obviously go down a bit on the lower time frames. Let's say either the daily, 4 you could probably do as well, but obviously looking at on the daily, you can see, okay, cool, from the extreme low to extreme high. It's getting a bit messy now. What I'll do is I'm going to hide the main one. That's not the main one. There we go. Yeah, so looking at, on a lower time frame within the slighter move of this, we can see, okay, cool. We've had this move. We are clearly not doing anything major. We've had, obviously, these highs which got used, printed through it, and now coming down again. Nothing major there, apart from, obviously, this candle. And again, if we really look at it on the weekly, this is a massive candle and a massive gap. So going back down to the daily again, even though the wider kind of equilibrium high on kind of premium discount is negative, we can still have these inner movements, which are obviously you can apply the exact same thing to, which obviously we can apply. Okay, looking at it again, these are technically a bit too high, and again we might have obviously visited near towards this area, but the main one is definitely this area. So if we kind of draw it from here, looking at about 2184, and if we remember back to my ranges, 2-1, I believe 2187. So again, very close to that range. 2187 would be a low, so this would be the low of the dealing range. I don't have them up. I'm not gonna use them, but the low of the range would be 2187. So again, a considerably important, potentially important number. Obviously, as we've seen previous times before with some of this price action in these areas. So again, I definitely could think this could be a good area in terms of this kind of more of a local scope of the move. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had a bit more of a retracement down, but again. On the wider range, we're just in this large area of negativity. But I think until I see, as we have with this move, in terms of, okay, we've had this uptrend, and then we've definitely had this massive print below. It's not like we've had a tiny print below where it's been something to take out some highs, or in this case lows, where we bump back upwards. This is a considerable, on the weekly, a massive print below these lows. So this isn't going to be just a quick visit down below, 2,100. This is a considerable move down. So I do think this is okay. This is the start of a downtrend, where we obviously should expect to see a bit of a lower high. So in terms of seeing that lower high, considering from premium discount from this move, it would be about $3,000. And again, Ethereum's had a massive run for the move upwards. I'll look at the chat in a second. Actually, I can see KB and Manjeet you've messaged, but give me a second. So yeah, like I said, I think this, in terms of the areas where there is importance, I think either it's going to be sitting within this area, but to be fair, I could probably zoom down onto the daily to try and find something else. And what I could probably look at is you could have a wick past an important area. So some of these lows, if we had a wick past here, a recovery from this candle and a move down, this could also be the candle, which you can see we've hit off here and we've had this move. So we might not hit, and obviously I'm just looking at it now. I definitely think, again, I've already talked about this, I definitely think we'll see retracements for Ethereum. So this is more of a longer term thing. I think, again, on the local scope for the daily, I do think we could be targeting towards about 2187, about 2100. I definitely think we could target there if we don't do anything considerable here. But like I said, we had this major move, which obviously we recovered with during this weekly candle. We've had this candle, which then we printed through and then came down again. So this is definitely, you can see on the midpoint here, which also is equilibrium, very nicely lined up as well. Massive resistance. We came to the top of it, and obviously we come down again. So this could also be the area. It depends on what we use. So we could be using this as a resistance. But again, we do have this mini move we've had, which could potentially hold this massive candle, which could give us a bit of a buy. So I don't necessarily think from this period, about 2,700 area, that's it. We're coming all the way down. I don't necessarily also think we come down to 1,300, because again, this is some extremes. This is quite a big extreme. So I don't necessarily think we generally come down to here, but for what I can say for maybe not obviously certain, because again, this is a game of probabilities. You just have to give yourself the best guess of you can't get everything 100% right. You have to, if everyone got everything 100% right, then no one would be doing anything other than trading. You know what I'm saying? So but what I can say for a bit more certainty I have is this lower time frame thing we've got going on over here, which is obviously as we followed the high, we could potentially be seeing it soon. Within this low area, the major one I can really see is this major gap. And again, I've already pointed out the fact this is on the weekly. This is a massive gap, which I do think, again, looking at this price action, it's awful. So either this shows signs that we kind of do this like we do this kind of thing going on. This is just like, this will lead to us having a big move, and I do think it'll be down, and I do think it'll be us recovering this candle. In terms of I'm not saying we come to 2187 and we just hit this line and we go back upwards. We could continue to fill the candle, and that would probably be a bit more likely. So that could lead as low as 1,850. Not saying it will hit there, but it can lead to that area, which obviously, again, if we look at this main area, is about the same here on the higher time frame. Obviously, we have this area a bit more here, but looking at the premium and potential premium discount for this, the main buy area would be below the equilibrium, which would be about 1,900, 1,850. So that's kind of one of my main areas for Ethereum in the longer term anyway. I'll get more on the daily here. So as we evolve in the political events going on in the world, something can happen. More than agree with my inner monologued argument, which is something could happen soon. Potentially, not saying it will. Something could resolve, something can happen, which will definitely lead into, if it does lead into a good resolution, a move up for the market. Again, if it's a bad resolution, I don't think it's hard to say we'll see 1,300 for Ethereum. But also with this gap, we have it printing through the last high. So this is going to be definitely a big area. I think this is definitely going to be a big area. This 1,900 area, I think, is going to be really big. Efficient price action. Efficient price action to inefficient. Is that from highs to lows to inner, like gaps? I assume that's what it is. Efficient to inefficient. So efficient is new highs, inefficient is gaps and candles, is what I assume you mean. I completely agree. I think another way of phrasing it, from what I've been reading, I've been doing obviously some off-camera reading. Is external range to internal range. It's just another way of I think that's exactly the identical thing you're talking about. I might be wrong, obviously. Efficient to inefficient, but that's the same thing. The idea of internal to external or external to internal in terms of if you take a high, and this is just normal price. This is just normal price action. Like in terms of if you consider it, it's like okay, cool. If you're just in an uptrend, let's say it's this. All right. Okay. This is not documented per se, but you see this all the time in every chart. So it's like okay. So what's the process? It's taking out all the highs on the up part, but you're not taking out these lows. You're doing something within the last move, which is causing you to reverse or causing you to stop the down move to then go back upwards towards the next high. So it's like, okay, cool. This is just like, okay, so what are you aiming at here? The highs. Okay, great. So it's just then figuring out what are you aiming at when you're going through these areas. And that could be obviously gaps. That can be, these periods of like order blocks, let's say if it's a small move or rejection block, whatever. But I mean, it also applies to, I can't zoom out. It's the same. The premium discount also applies to this same exact idea in terms of you normally look for the buy down in this area before you can continue onwards. So basically, the way I've been doing it so far is you can't just follow the high until it stops, until you start to see it start to print downwards, and then from there you kind of follow it and go, okay, cool. What down here is going to cause the price to stop moving? Because price is going to continue to stop moving until it fulfills its move, until it fulfills its process. It needs more buy. So until it fulfills its process, it's going to continue to come downwards. So you need to find that area. I don't know why I'm giving this like lesson. I don't know what's going on here. But it needs to fulfill its quest of finding that buy until it moves back upwards to the next high and continues its price action. But yeah, I don't know, there you go. If you wanted to hear that, there you go. Yeah, I've pretty much said what I had to say for Ethereum. So yeah, that's pretty much it, really. But it's the same here, though. Realistically, it's like okay, cool. This could be the low you aim for. This one, obviously, this is a change in trend, so I suppose it might be a bit different. But it's kind of the same concept of like, okay, you've taken the high, you've taken the low. What within the last move is going to stop you? Again, downtrend. Think about it. That's a downtrend, right? My brain's just like, what is that? That's okay. There you go. I don't know what I drew there. It really confused me then. That was weird. What's going on? I can't draw a downtrend. There we go. That's the downtrend. So it's like okay, it's the same concept, but it's like okay, you just take the lows on the move. It's just a normal downtrend. But what's causing you to stop moving upwards in these little areas? That's what it is. It's either old orders or whatever. So it's like okay, what causes that? Oh, Kabir, you did. That's true. You messaged me about Chronos, didn't you? I'll look at it in a second. Well, not in a second. After the stream, I'll look at it. Apologies, but again, going back to the idea, it's like okay, what's going to cause you to stop in that move? Well, it's like okay, resistances. It's like okay, what causes resistance? It's just then it's up to whatever you kind of look at to kind of consider if it's a resistance or not. So it's like, okay, old gaps or these are old resistance areas. It's like, okay, cool. This is what resistance is going to be. So again, like I said, for me, it's like, okay, we could have already seen resistance. And again, if you look at the price action, it's pretty bad. So we could have already seen this resistance aiming towards coming into this area. And again, I'm not saying we reverse. It's like, okay, cool. We should see a lower high and then a lower low. I'm not saying you can't, again, this is the daily within the weekly. It's like, okay, you can have from what is considered either a print or a wick on the weekly, could be an entire move on the daily, if you know what I mean. So it's like, okay, I don't think it's out the realm of the possibility to say we could come down towards this area and it not be that bad on the weekly. So for it to be, a print like this and then we go up again. But obviously that would be a higher low. But the lows don't... The lows don't matter. If you print above the highs, that's when it starts to matter. But on the wider trend, it's like, okay, cool. Where's the massive lows? This is clearly a massive low, clearly a massive high. Obviously, main low over here. So it's like, okay, cool. In this trend, obviously, main highs, main lows, main highs. We've moved below these lows now. So it's like, okay, until we see above 4,100, we're in a downtrend. So there you go. Anyway, that's what I think for Ethereum. 1,900 area. Potentially. Again, this is on the daily. If something happens during the life of the charts and life in general and whatnot, that can definitely have an effect. Let me read the chat though. Good evening, Chris West family. Shout out to you, NG. Appreciate you for being here. And Kabir and Hamid, thank you for joining. Appreciate you all being part of the stream. We're just doing the charts. I've already looked at Bitcoin, just looked at Ethereum. We can go to Solana now in a second. Obviously, we have 5 minutes until 6. I normally try and do an hour. I started 5 minutes late. The stream crashed. The whole thing went wrong. So I'm going to really quickly go through Solana. And I can never help myself. I just talk. All right, I can never help myself. So, I've spent a long time on Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's just what it is. I'm going to quite quickly go through Solana. I'm just going to do Black Swan Ether 720. Hey. Do you know what? If it's a black swan, I can't say no. It's like, what I'm saying? If it's a black swan, sure. Again, I don't know what can cause that. I think what would have to happen, though, in my opinion, is multiple swans. Like a gaggle of swans. What do you call it? Flock? I don't like flock. Flock. Yeah, flock. I want a cool name. Gathering of swans. A bevy of swans. A bevy of black swans is what I'd have to see for them to go 720. Again, I do think the conflict has definitely been a big black swan. I think there's been bigger black swans. Not to disregard the horrors and the awfulness of it. Again, my heart goes out to the people affected. Again, it is a what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? My heart goes out. That's all I can say. I can't stop it. But hopefully, someone can. Big man America, sort it out, please. Let us go up. But anyway, a bevy of black swans will lead us to 720. If we have war here, nuke here, someone gets blown up, someone dies, I could probably see 720. But as of right now, I think we'll need a few black swans, in personal opinion. But again, like I said, this is weekly stuff. Again, if the market continues in the direction, we're in a downtrend on the weekly. We're not going to 720. That's why we need the bevy of black swans. That's what I'm saying. If we have the bevy of black swans, we can see 720. All right, that's what I'll say. Let's quickly go through this. So, this is like the lowest low. We've printed through it. Not very good. Lower high. What have we done? Well, la-di-da. What's this I see? A little gap. Aw, look at that little guy. So, internal. Where's the next aim? External. Where's external? Previous low. Now, I'm not saying we go to $87 or $94. But this is what's on my screen. So I can't not look at it. But again, if something really, really good happens in the world... Oh, it just got about... You can see that... Look how tight that is. Right there. You can see that fill. with that little area. Obviously, we did have this one, to be fair, as well, which obviously we could have aimed for. To be fair, if we have some sort of reversal within this period, we could definitely see trying to get up towards the next one, because again, this is still premium. It wouldn't be bad, because again, to get back into a bull trend, again, we would have to print above the highs. So we could do that. You know, I'm not saying we can't do that. You know, we would then have a bit of like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not like out the realm of possibility, but as I see it around, I'm definitely downtrend. Like, there's no joking. But this is a clear cut, this is an order block. Technically, this would also be part of the order block, but I don't want to draw it. And I don't care if you disagree with me. This is what I'm drawing. Yeah, shut up. I don't care. Took the low, important area, massive rejection block. Boom, off we go. Bang. This is going to be support in a buy area. So just letting that know. But again, if we go to the move, just like we did with Ethereum, hide this. Let's get rid of this gap, because I don't care about it. Do this, bang, previous high, ka-chow. This is obviously going to buy area, huge. So where the next area is to aim for, it's like, okay, cool. There's no gap here. It's generally just this support down here. So I definitely could see support down here, 123. And again, we've looked at the 123 when I was using the gold back levels. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm on the right thing here. I don't know what. I think I looked at 79. It's been a while. I've been so long since I've looked at this. You don't understand how long it's been. Yeah, exactly. This is equilibrium area of this main area. So again, this is, you know, you're looking for sells in there. This is, you know, this is an area we've looked at previously. So, you know, this is out of the realm of possibility. About $125. Boom. There you go. There's a massive support area. We are in this, obviously, we are definitely in the premium area of things. We've already taken the internal range, but again, we do have this spot. We should, it's like, oh, well, technically, you know, in a downtrend, we've got to be looking for the boom, we could look for the low, you know, but it's low. And it's like, I don't want to believe that, you know, but it's on my chart. But again, there's things going on in the world, and if someone does something good, then we could, you know, print up, we could do boom, 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 boom. But if, okay, this is the main question for me. It's like, okay, if a positive event in the world occurs, would it give us enough positivity to break us? To be fair, this is now the high at 187. So technically, we would only really have to, we wouldn't have to get just to 296. We'd have to get to 188. And to be fair, this is the weekly. So on the daily, it's going to be easier. So maybe maybe since I'm on the weekly, I'm being a bit more negative than I should be. Or I could be more positive right now. Because again, if we went to the 4 hour, we could be in an uptrend right now. It's like, okay, cool. Downtrend. Where's the previous high? Here, 159. If we break above 159, that's when it starts to get to that period of time when, okay, cool, we're in an uptrend. But again, I'm looking at the weekly here. This is the weekly daily. It's like, okay, cool. Where's the previous high? About 168. So if we start to break some of these areas, you know, booms, breaks above this high, break above 18887, that's uptrend. So technically, you know, even though this is the extreme high, technically we could just break above 187 and technically be in an uptrend and start to do higher highs, higher lows. So, you know, it depends what it is, I suppose. Depends what the next level is. But I think as of what I have right now, in terms of this move, we are in a downtrend. We are in a premium. In discount on the wider range, but again, we've had the move. We've already had this. Okay, so basically the premium discount and looking for these areas. It's just looking for that period of when you should reverse, and it's either this area or this area we've already used. And you can see we've already used this area, so this is already used. So the next part to look at is the smaller little kind of movements we've had, and then if we then look at that, we're in premium. This is the low. We've already come to our internal. We should be aiming for the low, but I'm not going to, because my next area is going to be the support area, because that's just what's next in the way, which is this 122 area. Basically 124, 122. That's what I have for Solana. Read the chat. I see a lot of yibba yabba going on. Let me have a look. Oh Lord, I left you and KV to go more to that. Well, okay, no, I've said this. You can scroll up in the chat. Only a tiny bit because the stream crashed, but this is my autonomous words, okay? I've not been held at gunpoint to say this, okay? So, yeah, agreed. 122 is the next level for me. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm on the weekly, so this is very high time frame. So if I went to the 4 hour, there's probably different areas within the move. But again, just looking at the high time frame, just to give a general move, like, you know, this is orchestrative movement. So it's like, okay, I can go to the 1 hour now and go, okay, cool. On the weekly and the daily, I do think we're going down. So that can kind of help me orchestrate my idea of where the bias is going to be. So just looking at that alone, just the bias and what I think is going to happen, all things considered, again, obviously, Ceteris Paribus and the war and whatnot, it would be going down. I can't look at this any other way. Like, we've hit this gap. We've hit this area. We've taken the low. We've done the internal. We should be aiming for external, which is $95, but we have the support. And again, this is a very, considering this wick and this, we have a very extreme low here, which took out all these previous lows. Massive wick, massive move. This is a rejection block, actually, which, if we look at this, we can see we came to basically the midpoint of this. You can see, yeah, good rejection block. Use this, form rejection block, form the new low, came to midpoint, moved on. Obviously, we've used the rejection block now, so we can't really use it again. But we took the lows. This is a massive low. Off we go. So it's like, okay, what's next? I don't see what else it could be. Unless something happens, which orchestrates the price a bit differently. This is what I have. Simple. We need another high before July. Or we have 3 months of down before 400k. And that's the thing, though, because, like, in terms of 3 months, I'm not saying it takes 3 months. That's 4, 5, and 4. So that's what, like, 13 weeks. That's 13 weekly candles. I don't think I'll take that long to get towards 92k. But, if we don't see something change, I think we're going to start to see us head towards that low, which I'm talking about, which is about 92, 93k. Again, we do have 98k, but in terms of relative to the move we've had, that's still in premium. That's still in an area where I don't necessarily think, maybe on the short time frame, absolutely. I do think 98k is going to be a good area. I do think there might be massive buy at 98k, maybe back up towards 100k, whatever it's going to be. But I think long term, again, like I said on the weekly, I do think it's going to be us coming down towards that area. That's the main area. But again, remember, it's like, I know I've already looked at Bitcoin, but it's not a bad thing. Like, this isn't a bad thing to come to this area. This is a good thing. This shows that we're moving properly in the market. This is just another low before we move up again to do more highs. So this isn't a bad thing. It's just a momentary, or in this case, it's on the weekly, not necessarily momentarily. This is just a phase. This is a process in the move up where we have to find a new low, find the buy or whatever you want to frame it as before we move back up again and break 112k. So it's just what happens. And it happened here. It's not like, oh, well, this is, what are you looking this for? This doesn't happen. It literally happened last time. Like, if we draw it from, I mean, you can do extreme low, but looking at, you either do this low or you can do this low. I mean, it depends on where you look at it. I could do this low. It depends. I did this low when I drew it. Like, if I, oh no, I deleted it. But when I drew it, I did this low. On the other time frames, it's the same thing. But again, oh wait, that's not the high actually. This is the high. There we go. But again, even if we went to here, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Even if we went to here, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's just you're getting the relative high. Like, it doesn't really matter. And if we go back to it, like I said, like, this is just normal process. Okay, cool. We're in premium. We found the high. We've printed below. We should be aiming for this area. And in this entire move upwards, in this entire move, you're like, okay, cool. When are we going to stop? And when do we get back to these areas? It's like, okay, cool. And again, we're on the weekly here. You probably go to the 4 hour, whatever you want to look at for this move. Again, you probably see on the lower time frame, maybe the 4 hour, we have consistent highs up here. We've swept them and we start to reverse. You can see the change in state delivery of this candle, so you can kind of see the change. But oh, actually, I mean, to be fair, we saw immediate dump. Actually, to be fair, we came really fast down to this area. But it's like, okay, cool. It's just the process which happens. It's like, okay, cool, uptrend. Obviously, I mean, yeah, we took the highs pretty drastically. But okay, extreme move up now. We do the high, we have to do a higher low. So it's like, okay, cool, this is just the area it comes to. And now we've done the next move upwards, which obviously we've just demonstrated with this move, with this. Okay, cool. We've done, if this, obviously, as we follow the high upwards, if this is starting to be the high, which on the lower time frames this is the high, we've started to do a downtrend. We should be aiming for the period of support, which, again, this is in premium, so technically wouldn't be the one which holds. This is the next one down. Before we see this, we then continue onwards. So it's not a bad thing. I don't think this is a bad thing in the slightest. So anyway, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I don't think I can look at SERP too much because, again, I think... Is there a chart which has more data? Yeah, here we go. I've looked at this. Brilliant. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's just I want to do it again. I don't know what I just looked at. I don't know. Okay, weekly. Again, this is I mean, technically a high, technically a low, technically move up. Technically, we could, look at this. If this is the high, we're looking for, support down here. We could technically, look for this area, down here. But not saying that's gonna happen. But just, considering this is the shift back upwards. This is the gap which forms the shift. This is going to be a good buy area. Very low. Again, we're at 49 cents. Very low. If you were to go, it's very low. But again, I think this is very different. It's like the coins we looked at are established coins, and again, the same for, I do want to look at COM. It's the same thing for SIP. It's like this is a continuously evolving project, so for the chance that it goes that it doesn't do exactly what price action says it will is very high. Again, it's just a project which is continuously evolving, so I'm not, this isn't a extreme move. So it's like, it's like, it can just continue to go upwards. I'm not saying that. So that was the weekly. Again, that's a very extreme low. I want to look at the daily. Though. I want to see the kind of the general move. So it's a bit rougher price action. A lot of highs and lows. We can see, okay, from the low to the high, it's like, okay, if we look at this, actually, I don't look at that. So if I just kind of want, it's a very steep move up. I kind of like orchestrate where the highs and lows are. So in terms of candle bodies, we clearly have low here, low here, low here. Potential low here in terms of this move, obviously low here. So it's like, okay, cool. So we've got those lows where we know we have this move. So if we kind of draw this, that's not what I want to draw. If we draw this, okay, this could technically be rejection block. Again, if we go to the 4 hour, we might see some gaps here. Rejection block, which we come to this area here, which then led back upwards. Fill this entire gap with this nice candle. This is actually a brilliant support area. Really brilliant support area, as you can see with this form, produce, boom. Really good support area, I think. Equal highs here. I will pay attention to that. So now that I'm looking at it, I think this could definitely be the start of the move. If we look at this thing, it could be here. I mean, again, it depends. Like we're on daily here, so it can vary a bit, I suppose. So looking at this, it's like, okay, where's the important area? We've already filled this gap. We have this massive support area. We have these highs. And what's going to stop us? Well, okay, cool. Coming into this area and this gap, we then formed this area, which came into this, again, rejection block, came into this area and then moved upwards. And then we've come back into it. And we're starting to kind of have a bit of support here. So definite potential there. And if we were to move this here, it doesn't reside in the negative. And again, this is the difference between a coin which is doing something active and then pre-established coins which have this. I'm not saying, oh well, I can't do TA on this coin because this, that, the other, but again, there is more than likelihood for something like syrup to continuously be going up due to external factors which are affecting the price of it because of said movements due to developments in the project and just things like that in general, which cause price to just not irregularly move up, but if something really big happens to syrup, which has happened. I mean, they've had rebrands, they've had different things being released, and all these different things have caused big movements in the price. So again, I don't want to sit on the negative fence here, but just looking at the retracements again, I'm not actively not sitting on it because again, we're in a clear-cut uptrend. We're not doing lower highs or lower highs, lower lows, or anything like that. We are doing higher lows, higher highs. So it's just really paying attention to where the high is and where we can retrace from there. So it's like, okay, cool. Relative equal highs of all this area. Came up above this area. Retrace. Okay, where do we look for? Well, the only thing I had, again, unless we go to the 1 hour, we find maybe some sort of gap, which we can kind of see a gap here potentially. But realistically, the only thing I have, obviously, is this main area of support, which you can see we've already had this wick back into it. We could have a propulsion block, which could be within one of these candles here. So if we form a candle, basically, it'll be a negative printing candle, like this one, let's say, where if we have this move which comes back into it, which then results in a candle which prints above it, this would be a propulsion block, which would then have a cascading effect, if you will. So it would be, form this, print up. It's kind of hard. I'll do it on the 4 hour. Again, forming it. Let me just do this, I guess. It's obviously hard to draw it on the daily, but it'd be this forming here. It'd be candle back upwards, candle back into this area for the candle, and it'll be a move back upwards. So that can happen as well. So just to also bear that in mind for the potential. And again, I think for this coin, I do want to look at the lower time frame for the potential of the premium discount. So again, definite low to the high there. You can see into this area. I'm gonna delete some of these. Actually, no, I don't want to delete that area. Trying to find the interesting area. Obviously, we have this order block here. Again, a bit of a smaller one here, which comes into this gap, which produced the new high. You can see a slight downtrend. High here, printed through it, so clearly a good candle to pay attention to. A candle which technically the entire thing's been recovered, but I'm going to look at the main candle, which you can see if we now shimmy this over, has had this nice support. So again, another area within the discount, which has been a good area to buy. So again, double low of this one, low here, so just consistent buy there. Obviously producing all these highs, which we then printed through, which then obviously allowed us to reverse in this premium, and then reverse back to the support area, which is now leading us back upwards. So again, consistently able to look at the price with this kind of idea of looking at the highs and the lows and where we should be buying at, where we should be selling at, or where we should be selling at and buying at and whatnot. But to actually give an answer, I know I've just talked for no reason, just randomly about this. I just think we continue to go up. There's nothing showing me right now that we should be going down, unless you maybe attribute, unless we could find a chart which has more data to it. Something like this, where it's like, okay, cool, we have had previous high, which had a bit of a low, high again, through this entire movement, results in, until we see the high, the only area below us, unless we can maybe attribute one of these, again, considering this high with this candle, which then had a print down and a print up, could be order block here. But again, it hasn't really been utilized. Again, we printed through it, and this should be resistance, but obviously it can be a breakup block. So, and again, we're in a premium here, so this really shouldn't be support. So the only area on the high time frame for syrup would be this area, about, I think it was like 30 cent on the other charts. But in terms of local time, or not local time, but in terms of lower time frame, we're in an uptrend. I just think we'll continue to go up. So I think for syrup, I wouldn't be perpetually trading it or futures trading it. I wouldn't be trading it. I would be buying it. I wouldn't trade this. Okay, yeah, you could trade it on a lower time frame, but if I'm looking at the daily and I'm seeing this since April and just consistent, there's not really much variety in the price. Yeah, it's an easier thing to trade. Maybe on a lower time frame, bit of a higher leverage, as you can kind of see a clear bias in we're just consistently going upwards. So I think my own comment would be for syrup is I think for me it'd be more of a buy than just something you long and short, whatever. And it just goes upwards. So that's really what it is. Same thing with COM though. Again, it's one of these coins which is developing. I can't really show the chart on TradingView, so you have to take my word for it, I suppose. Or go look at the chart yourself. Just okay, is what I'll do. If you want to go see COM, I can't really show it on TradingView, and I don't really want to move anywhere else because we've gone over the time a tiny bit more. I'm not gonna lie. So I will be wrapping up within the next minute or two. COM is doing this, or I think it's this maybe. I think it's doing this. What do you think it's doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like we've just spent so long looking at this process, and it's a great project. It's a really good project. Out of the last project I've seen in the last 2 weeks, looking at altcoins and meme coins, it's probably the biggest project in terms of its potential, and I just genuinely think it's a great project. So I just think it's a good buy. And there are smaller companies which are starting to adopt COM onto their platform and starting to use them as a kind of AI provider. So I just think it's a great buy. I think the only thing I'll have for my chart, it's gone a bit lower than I talked about, but again, it's not a concerning low, because during my streams on an unnamed platform, I was talking about different areas of where it could be a low. So we haven't concerningly printed below a certain area. We're just in the process. And again, I was saying this during my stream, but I believe Danny was there. I don't know if Danny's still here. In terms of it being more of a longer term buy, similar with what I've said with syrup, more of a longer term buy in terms of most of my TA was on the higher time frame. So again, COM, great shout. If you want to buy something, I would strongly advise it. But again, we have spent quite a while on the stream. I've had a lot of fun. I've enjoyed. I've definitely I've tried to strip back a bit of how I draw the chart. And again, I haven't spent ages drawing. I haven't spent ages doing charts like this. But from what I've back tested, I have enjoyed stripping it back. Because again, obviously, a lot of the streams I do and a lot of the charts, there's a lot of lines, there's a lot of stuff in the way, so I'm trying to strip it back a bit. So I do think it's a bit more minimalist and a bit more easy to digest, I think. Not just for me, but for me especially, but hopefully for you guys it's a bit cleaner on the eyes to look at this, rather than doing this and going to this area and going, oh, look at the lines. It's like, it's a bit it's a bit much. So I guess we will see as time will tell. Again, stay safe out there. None of this was financial advice. Appreciate you all being here on my first stream back on YouTube. I've missed it. I really have. I've missed it. I've missed speaking to you guys. Obviously we were on a certain platform for a while. On Pumpkin, I'm not on BitGet anymore. It crashed. On Pumpkin, it was all right. I don't like the platform. I'm not gonna lie. I know some of you guys, had a bit of a dismay to it, and obviously connecting the Phantom wallets, to it, and it being like an issue. It's just like it was a bit of a. I just didn't really prefer how you went about streaming on that platform. So I've missed YouTube, is what I will say. I've missed doing Bitcoin and all the coins I normally look at. So glad to be back. Shout out to you all. Appreciate you all. I'll be back. I did Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's Thursdays. I'll probably aim for Saturday again to see how it goes, I suppose. And other than that, I think that's pretty much it. So again, thank you guys. Appreciate you all. Good luck if you're trading. I'll look at your message in a second. I did read it, but I didn't respond. I didn't send the message, so I'll respond in a second now. I don't have anything else to waffle about, so appreciate you all. I will see you Saturday. Good to see you back, buddy. Thanks. Thank you, KB. Appreciate you, man. I'll be back Saturday. See how it goes. Again, this is all this was the weekly, so I'm not expecting Saturday to be much different from today. I'll probably try and aim to do a bit more lower time frame. 4 hour, 1 hour, whatever it may be. I'll try and look at a bit more of a lower time frame on Saturday, because again, this was the first stream back in a while for me, not just obviously on YouTube as well, but for me to actually look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, because I've just been looking at meme coins and altcoins the entire time. It's been a bit grueling, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a bit hard to do, because it's just there's so much crap out there. So again, I've missed the stability of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and whatnot. So again, the main thing for me today was to kind of give a really big opinion on like the wider time frame. I'm just feeling a bit bearish in terms of what I can see on the chart. Obviously, giving my my precautions to what I'm saying. Again, we have current conflicts going on. If they start to resolve and whatnot, that could have great positive effects on the markets, depending on how it happens. If you know what I mean. So I will try to do lower time frames next stream. Give a bit more actionable. Not financial advice, but actionable words. Obviously, unless you want to do a really low leverage short or want to sell now, whatever, not financial advice. But I'll try a bit more actionable on Saturday. So catch that on Saturday. Appreciate you all. I've talked long enough. Thank you and goodbye.